You're listening to the Social Selling Simplified podcast. Stick around if you too are obsessed with learning things that actually work and believe that success leaves clues. We're all about identifying results-producing roadmaps and getting super clear on how to scale and grow your online business. From part-timer to president, social selling expert Ashley Shaw will help you connect the dots and take the guesswork out of what works to grow a social selling empire. It's time to hear from social selling legends, listen in on truthful conversations, and learn the best tips and tricks to reduce the marketing overwhelm so you can build the social selling business of your dreams. If you're ready to go all in, no holding back, and build the business you've always wanted, you're in the right place. Here's your host, educator, social selling guru, and fitness industry OG, Ashley Shaw.
Welcome to Social Selling Simplified. My name is Ashley Shaw, and in today's episode, we're going to be discussing the reason why 99, and this is like true 100% fact, 99% of network marketers fail. And this is not just a number I've made up for the sake of it sounding like a great podcast title. It is from the Consumer Awareness Act that 99% of network marketers do not make a clear profit. Now, if you're a network marketer, this is not meant to scare you, but it is meant to push you into some sort of action that is different than what 99% of people are doing. And what 99% of people are doing is just listening to what their upline is telling them to do and not really taking ownership in their business. Sorry if that is a hard truth, but it is just the fact. If you don't want to turn out like 99% of the network marketers out there who spend money and don't make any money, then this episode is definitely for you. So there are actually 9 clear steps or 9 steps in this roadmap to actually help you make money in your network marketing business and actually be able to scale your income. And I would say 10x your income. But you need to be really clear on what that roadmap is. And unfortunately, it's not what most uplines teach. It's not what they do themselves. And if you've listened to this podcast for any length of time, you've probably heard me say that most uplines are just relying on what worked for them 10 years ago. And that just simply does not work anymore. So as I'm going through the 9 steps, I want you to be thinking about, do you have this step nailed down? Or is this something that you need to work on in your business? And that's going to give you a clear picture of where you are right now and where you need to go. Okay, so let's get started here. Step number 1, your $1 million market. So this step is about getting clear on who is in the right market for what you have to offer. So what that means is that is answering a series of questions that defines if your market is actually in pain, they actually have the money to pay for what you're asking for them to pay. It also includes looking at, are they easy to identify, and making sure that they are easy to target. So you need to have all of these questions answered to make sure that you are focused on the right people. It only makes sense when you're getting started with something. What most people will end up doing is they will not have a clear target on their market. They'll focus on everyone and anyone. And I definitely hear this all the time from network marketers that are like, I don't want to exclude anyone. Well, in doing that, you're not focusing on the right market and you're wasting a ton of time in choosing that path to try to focus on everyone. So you want to get really clear right from the beginning on who is the right market. And you also want to look at, is the market growing or not? Because if it's a shrinking market, or if the person that you think is your ideal person does not have any money to spend, your business will not make it very far. So that is step number 1. Step number 2 is your $1 million customer. So this is all about finding customers who are perfect, customers, team members, coaches, whatever sort of industry that you're in, who will always say yes. So again, there are a series of questions you want to be able to answer around your customers to make sure that they are perfect for your offer. When we're looking at the perfect customer, we need to look at all the most important questions about your perfect customer to validate that they would be the right person. So what problem are they trying to actually solve? What are their dream aspirations? Like, what do they actually want to get to on the other side of actually working with you? What are the things standing in their way right now? What are the fears and implications of not taking any action? So getting a really clear picture on this perfect customer. Because if you don't answer these questions, you may be focusing on a customer that really is in no pain and they're not motivated to move forward. And I think this is sometimes what a lot of people are actually facing is they're getting objections all the time. People are ghosting them and they're not taking any action with you as a network marketer. And it could be because you're focused on the wrong person that is not in a lot of pain. There's going to be people that desperately need to find a solution where they wake up at night and think about, oh, if I could only blank. And there are going to be people that do not wake up and think about the problem that you think is so important that you solve. So you always want to make sure that you're focused on the perfect customer that has that pain and you understand what they're actually going for and what they need to solve. Then you want to think about the steps this person actually needs to take to make a transformation. In doing this, what you're doing is you're laying out the order in which they would actually need to take action. And this really helps you define what your offer should be. So what I'm saying is, no, you should not have the same offer as every other network marketer out there. If you've been on any of my workshops or trainings, this is one thing that I tend to go back to. Like, picture yourself going to a mall and every store being the exact same and going in and the prices are all the exact same. The only thing that is different is the salesperson that you are speaking to. It's not compelling enough to have that as your method to try to make this business grow. You need to do something different. So, in brainstorming all these steps and coming up with this transformation, what you're doing is you're creating your own method to get your perfect customer from point A to point B. Okay. So once we have defined our $1 million customer and what the exact steps are that they need to take in order to have this transformation, next, you actually want to create what's called a signature offer. And this is something that is going to set you apart from every other network marketer out there. I know, brilliant, genius. If only there was a way that you didn't look like everyone else, right? So in this signature offer, what you're doing is you're taking those steps that you have created with your transformation. You want to make sure that you also are defining the currency. And there's something called your $1 million message that you need to define for your offer, as well as all the steps that you're going to teach people in your transformation. And in doing this, what I hear, again, like a lot of network marketers get stuck on is they're like, oh, I deliver balance, or I deliver, let me just think here. I'm trying to think of some of the examples that have come up. So balance is definitely one. Another one might be, I provide happiness and calm and less stress and things like that. The problem with trying to define your currency as that is that nobody wakes up in the middle of the night and is like, if I only had more balance in my life. That's not how people think, and that's not a big enough problem for people to actually want to pull the trigger and take action on it. So your currency has to be in line with what people wake up and think about in the middle of the night. And most people think about things that are kind of, I don't want to say surface level, but typically, like when people wake up, they're like, oh man, why can't I just lose this weight? Or why can't I just make more money? Like those things, like we overcomplicate it, I think, and think about these words that and these things, these offers that we want to provide, when really you got to go back to that customer and what is their deep pain that they are willing to take action on. And that's why there's a lot of, why the markets around, let's say weight loss or looking younger or those sort of things are so popular, right? Because so many people are after those types of results. And it's not that they won't get the balance and they won't get those other things, maybe looking younger. They won't get those things, but it's just that the marketing has to have enough of a hook to get people to pay attention. You could have an amazing product, but if people scroll past you and you're not hitting them where, I hate to say it, but like I don't mean like it has to physically hurt, but where they are currently hurting, where the pain is, you're not going to convince anyone to take action steps forward. So it needs to be on point. You need to know what your market is thinking about. They need to be in pain. Okay. So the next step here, we're moving into step number 4, is to create your $1 million content strategy. So this is creating a content strategy that actually delivers on your offer. Yes, I am telling you that you should have a course or a coaching program or something that is different. Now, I'm not saying that your network marketing business isn't intertwined in this or can't be an upsell or something like that, but it can't be the first thing that you show people, because then you do not allow yourself to be differentiated from anyone else. So in creating your content strategy, you're going to take all those steps that you have planned out, and typically we want to get those down to about 9 steps, and you're going to define all the problems that your ideal customer has and define all possible solutions for them as well. So once you've done that, then you've got your 9 steps for them to actually get to their goal, which would become your course, your coaching program, your signature offer, as we would call it. And then when you define all the problems and all the possible solutions you could offer, then these all become different ideas for tripwires, order bumps, upsells, all those types of things. And so I'll give you guys a little bit of context here for a sec. So if we're thinking about problems your ideal customer has, maybe they don't know how to make any healthy food, let's just say. A possible solution would be like the 10 quickest and easiest things to make at home. Or let's say their problem is they feel like their skin is starting to look like they're aging and they're just feeling like older. What are 10 things you can do today to make your skin look younger? Something like that, right? So you're coming up with all these possible solutions of, different titles and hooks and different things that could help this person overcome the problems that they have. Hey, coach, I finally have something that I've been dreaming of providing for you. I know that you definitely didn't start this business because you really felt like pestering your friends and family and getting ghosted by everyone. Chasing people down or having to follow up with them is definitely hard work, and it can feel so awkward and uncomfortable for everyone involved. But your upline probably told you that this is what successful people do, and they didn't mention to you that unless you're this superstar salesperson right off the bat, you're going to struggle forever if you keep doing it that old school way. 99% of coaches quit because they suddenly declare themselves this expert online and then go back and ask everyone who knew them to just start buying from them when they just started working out last week. And this problem applies to all network marketers, not just coaches. But the 1% that actually succeed have made it because they've caught on to a different system that's been proven to work. And it's just something that nobody really talks about. It's all about taking some simple steps to position yourself as an influencer first. So soon, instead of asking people to talk to you, you'll attract ideal customers who are already excited to learn from you and buy from you. They'll know exactly what you're about and how you can help them. Go to ashleyshaw.ca/FYourUpline to learn more and see exactly what I'm talking about. You don't have to hunt people down and make them talk to you in order to get your bills paid for the rest of your life. Check out my short book called F What Your Upline Said and get an entirely different approach that will feel much more organic and authentic. That's ashleyshaw.ca/FYourUpline. I'm so excited for you to start implementing these 4 simple changes in your business and see how it absolutely transforms how you feel about your business and the results that you're able to get. So then when we talk about what is a tripwire, an order bump, or an upsell, if you've never heard those terms before, these are all things that would be utilized to help move your customer along the journey to getting to your core offer. So a tripwire is typically a $7 to $27 product that someone would purchase before they're going to spend like $200 or $300 with you. So for us, we have a book and it's called F What Your Upline Said. And that is a tripwire. That is a smaller price product that's going to give you a glimpse of what we're all about, our manifesto, what we believe, and help guide you in seeing things in a different light. So that is an example of a tripwire. When someone purchases something like that, then you have the opportunity to include something that is called an order bump. So an order bump, you know, when you're on a checkout page and there's like a little check mark that says like, yes, add this to my order. That is an order bump. Okay. So the reason that you want to think about different order bumps and different ideas here is that when you're thinking about all the possible problems and then possible solutions, those ideas are all interesting ideas to think about when you're trying to come up with what's my tripwire, what's my order bump. And then you have something called an upsell. So the order bump would be $27 to $47, somewhere in there. The upsell is going to be more expensive. And upsell is really something that is, it's not necessarily like a one-time offer, like they may never see it again, but it's not in that many places that people can find it. So an upsell would be something usually between 97 to, you know, it really depends on what you're building, but anywhere to $497. And it could be a more personalized approach, like it might be a one-on-one, or it might be something that is more in-depth, that is like a higher value, but also higher cost that your ideal customer might be interested in. So the reason that we want to include all of those pieces is that if you ever go to run ads, which if you're going to scale your business, you must run ads. If you want to go from, you know, wherever you're playing at 5-figure months and you want to start having, you know, 6-figure years, 6-figure months, having ads to help support you is imperative. It doesn't work like it used to, where you could just post things on social, cross your fingers, and hope your business is going to grow. You definitely need to be incorporating ads into your strategy if you want to grow and if you want to do it in a fast way. So that's where tripwire order bumps and upsells come into play, is it helps increase that order value. So when you're actually putting ads out there, you're helping to cover the cost of those ads. Okay, so that is your content plan. Your next step is your $1 million strategy. So what you want to do next is actually create a little mini scorecard that benchmarks and outlines how you're going to scale to 6 figures and beyond. When you're creating any type of funnel, or when I say funnel, I'm just essentially meaning somebody is going to find you, they're going to purchase your, let's say your tripwire, they're then going to see an order bump offer, they're then going to see an upsell offer. There are various statistics along the way that you want to be tracking to make sure that you understand, okay, this is the traffic I would actually need, or the people I would need buying the first product, buying the second, buying the third, and then getting to my signature offer in order for me to scale to 6 figures. It's not just as simple as, just cold message 100 people. So the metrics there, the math does not work. That is a game of burnout for sure. So what a $1 million strategy does is it sets up all the benchmarks along the way. So an example would be your Tripwire, let's say, is somewhere probably going to convert at about 8%. So how many people would that mean if you had this much traffic from, let's say, your ads? How many would that get to that next level? And so on and so forth. Like an order bump might be 20% conversion, and then an upsell might be 10% conversion, etc. So you want to know all those benchmarks so that you actually have a clear picture going into this with your pricing, something that actually makes sense. Next, you get into your $1 million production. So this is how you create your content for your signature offer and course, as well as how you create the content for your tripwires and order bumps and upsells and things like that. You want to definitely make sure that it's very well organized, and there's templates and definitely schools of thought around this, how you should be creating this to make sure that your customers become lifelong raving fans because you do such a good job of breaking this down for them. Then you're going to move into actually building out your funnel. So there are certain pieces that you need with this in terms of there's some sales pages and copy, which is basically just like the writing on the sales page. There's images and there's some software that you need to get a funnel actually up and running. And always best to do this from tried and true templates. So this is something that, you can use. Let's say there's some software, one called ClickFunnels. There's a couple of them out there. They do tend to be quite expensive. So this is actually something we've noticed a big need for in the people that we've been working with in network marketing, and actually something that we have been creating alongside our own funnels for network marketers to be able to have access to and create their own tools that are easy to use and aren't, the anywhere from 100 to, I think there's a couple out there that are, $150 up to $300 a month to manage, the functions of your funnel. So it is definitely something that you need to scale your business, because you don't have control over your network marketing page when you send people there. So you can never use ads to drive more traffic to your page, and breaks the terms of service to actually try to put ads towards network marketing offers. So that's why you do need to have your own separate funnel that you control, and then it works and talks to Facebook to track traffic and all those things, conversions and things like that. So you definitely want to think about, when you get to this stage, you're building a funnel, you need to have some software that is going to work alongside you. And you just want to make sure that you understand what you're doing and that you're not paying, $300 a month and your funnel, like you're not sure how to make sure your funnel's working, that it's making money, all those types of things. I'm just a shoestring budget type of person and tried lots of things. And it's great to try those things. It's just also nice when your investments are making money. So just an important thing to consider there. Next, you move into building out your $1 million automations. So this would be crafting your email automations to have your business selling on autopilot. So each of the steps along the way, there's going to be email automations that help support your movement through your value journey. So after somebody purchases a Tripwire and they get in your funnel that way, you need to have email automations that are directing them to your course or coaching program to help them get started and know what the next decision is that they should be making. And then lastly, you have your $1 million ad strategy. So this is where you need to define with your social media posts, what are the hooks? What kind of copy should you be using? in the actual posts themselves, what kind of concepts are going to work, and what kind of images, videos, those sorts of things are going to be helpful in driving people to your offer. Because as I mentioned earlier, it is really important that you are using Facebook ads to help support getting people to you. I hear this all the time from network marketers that they put offers out there and people are just like nobody is seeing it, or they can't seem to get people to join their email list and things like that. And I just, to be honest, like, it's not your fault. It's the fault of the algorithm. And it's just not, your posts just aren't getting shown to many people. So you need to have a strategy that is helping you. I think on one hand, you are obviously like posting organic things, but you use that as a testing ground to then decide what actually becomes an ad and gets pushed out to more people. But the whole idea of just posting on social is like the slow train to nowhere. So if that is what you believe it takes to build and scale this business to 6 figures, I hope that today's episode has been enlightening and that it feels at least a little more clear in terms of what you actually need to do to build a 6-figure business, and that these 9 steps are just shedding a little bit of light on where you should actually be focusing. So I really hope that today's episode was super helpful and very strategic in terms of getting you very clear on the path that you need to take. If this is something that you have been thinking about in your business and wanting to fine tune this and actually get some support, this is what we focus on in our mastermind. So we have a couple of different options with our mastermind. The best way to get more information about how we could help you and what the mastermind is all about is to actually watch the training that we'll make sure we link in the show notes. It's called Network Marketing Won't Make You Rich. Do this too. And that's going to help really outline for you the next steps and what it's going to take to get you to that next level in your network marketing business. So I really hope this episode was helpful, and definitely drop me any questions that you guys may have. You can send me a message on Instagram. I'm at the Ashley Shaw, or you can just, depending on where you're listening, make a comment below and we'll make sure to get back to you. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of Social Selling Simplified, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for taking the time to level up today. If you're ready to commit to personal and professional growth, move forward, make money, and grow your health and fitness business, head to my free community on Facebook, Business Bootcamp for Fitness Coaches, so I can support you every step along the way. Thank you so much for tuning in today, and we'll see you right back here next week on Social Selling Simplified.